Hi, everybody, and welcome to Out of the Gate, Daily Racing Form's weekend handicapping preview program. I'm your host, Stan Illman. Thanks so much for watching. Here's what's coming up in this week's edition of Out of the Gate. Daily Racing Form handicappers Mike Beer, Craig Milkowski, and I will take a look at three major graded stakes races from across the country. The La Cañada is your DRF Saturday race of the day. It is at Santa Anita. Two graded stakes races on turf at Gulfstream, the Marshua's River and Tropical Turf. You'll have Nicole Russo's Pedigree pick segment, David Aragona's Time Form US Spotlight, plus best bets, horses to watch, and lots more. So let's break Out of the Gate. We begin Out of the Gate with our horse watch segment. Craig Milkowski's been following this horse for a while. Let's see who it is.
My horse watch for this week is going to be Sol Volante. He's a 3-year-old gelding who's run 3 times now. He just ran this past Saturday in the Mucho Macho Man Stakes as the 10th race at Gulfstream Park. He ran a good third in that race, and what was not only his first try on dirt, it was also him cutting back to one turn for the first time. He had begun his career with a nice maiden win at Gulfstream Park West, coming from well back in the pack at just 7.5 furlongs, to get up and win easily with a Time Form US speed figure of 90. The next time out, he went right back to the turf. He moved into a minor stakes race at Gulfstream Park, this time at 1 mile, which was 2 turns. And once again, he was well back early, made that nice move. Now, both times he got hot paces to run into, but he looked really professional winning. He was able to weave his way through traffic. So the move to dirt in the Mucho Macho Man had a lot of question marks for him, but I thought he handled it well. It was a race where he didn't get a whole lot of pace. There were no red fractions in Time Form US PPs, and he wasn't able to reel in the top 2, but I still like the way he made a nice move around that turn. The pace was really pretty moderate that day, so he didn't, it just wasn't a great setup for him. I think he's going to do much better next time out. He's a horse with a promising future, and he's shown that he can run on both turf and dirt. So once again, my horse watch is going to be Sol Volante.
Go to Aqueduct for my horse watch, Dan. The final day of 2019, a colt named Portos, trained by Todd Pletcher. Let's throw up the replay right now. This is his 4th career start. Every one of his races so far around 2 turns. This horse wants distance. He's improved from race to race. And here's the maiden win finally in start number 4. I know it's a wet track, and there's probably not that much behind him in here, but he's just going to win off from this field with a very solid 84 buyer. He's got a nice pedigree. He's a Tappet. His dam was a stakes winner. She's a sister to a grade 1 winner, Power Broker. This horse seems like he wants to go all day long. I suspect he's on the Derby trail now for Pletcher.
Now that's the way we like to see Pletcher 2-year-olds win races. Kind of takes us back to the day. Very impressive performance by Portos. My horse to watch at Laurel is a horse named Rookie Salsa. He was a stakes winner early this year, early in 2019, at Churchill Downs, dropping into a $25,000 claimer last time, trying to get some confidence from trainer Jerry O'Dwyer. Taken to the inside on the backstretch into the turn, and now we turn into the stretch, and this one's just got nowhere to go. He's in behind horses. The 3 horses in front of him are just tiring. The horse in the lead is going, gone. He still hasn't gotten out to the clear. And now Rookie Salsa is in the clear, and he's going to come with a good run, and he'll finish 3rd. He was claimed out of this race by Claudio Gonzalez, who is currently on a 10-for-16 tear at Laurel with newly claimed runners. Rookie Salsa just seems like the kind of horse that's going to fit back in a $25,000 claiming level. And if he wins, he can go on a roll in starter optional claiming races. Keep an eye for Rookie Salsa at Laurel. He's a newly turned 3-year-old. Let's get to some handicapping. The La Cañada Stakes is your Saturday race of the day. Let's throw up the field for Saturday's DRF race of the day, the Grade 3 $200,000 La Cañada Stakes, fillies and mares going 1 1/16 on the main track at Santa Anita. You can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. For expanded stakes previews, DRF's Brad Free covers the La Cañada in great detail at video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. The 7-Spice Perfection looks like the horse to beat. This horse has shown a lot of ability in top-class races. Going to have to stretch out a bit, though, and that makes Craig Milkowski a little dubious about backing the favorite. He has an alternative.
The La Cañada Stakes is an interesting race for older fillies and mares, going a mile and a 16th at Santa Anita on Saturday. And the first place I looked was the Timeform US Pace Projector, and it does show that it favors horses on or near the early lead, but it's a pretty interesting race, I think, and it also shows 3 horses bunched up right on the front, and this kind of indicates to me it's really a fuzzy situation. The horses in there haven't shown a whole lot of speed. One of them, who's actually shown on our preview page as a leader, Message, it looks like she's probably in a bit over her head, and it's not like she's going to get a clear, easy lead. Based on the others in here, they've shown similar early speed. Spice Perfection, who I would assume is going to be the morning line favorite when that comes out, is a horse who just won at Aqueduct in a stakes race, but she did so just setting a glacial pace on Remsen Day. I mean, it was so slow that the race had to be broken out by myself as a speed figure maker, also on the buyer numbers. So it was really a tricky race. So basically what I'm saying is I don't love any of the horses who are projected to be up on or near that early lead in this race. I think they all have some questions. Queen Bee to You, who we show as a tracker, she's another one that's shown up there. She's not even really a front runner. Rarely lately has she been anywhere near the front. She's done her best racing from off the pace. She won last time out pretty easily at Los Al. But because of that, I'm going to head in a different direction, and I'm going to go with the number 1, Durloo. It's a Bob Baffert trained filly. She's just 4 years old, and there's a few things I like about her. I like how she won her last race. She did it with just a 104 Timeform US speed figure, but I think she's got more in the tank. She's obviously younger. She is going to need to improve on that number. Some of the others in here have run faster. But I was a little concerned when I first looked at the race about the layoff that she's had. You can see she's been off since that win. But when I checked the workout tab, she's been working steadily ever since. So obviously Bob Baffert just didn't find the right spot for her, or maybe he was pointing to the spot all along, but there haven't been any issues with this horse. He's red hot. Baffert is at Santa Anita. I think he won a couple of the big stakes there last weekend. So for me, I'm looking for an improved race from Durloo, maybe a little bit of an aggressive ride from that inside post position in a race without much speed, and I think she is going to run really well in here.
Well, I'm with Craig in trying to beat Spice Perfection here as she tries to stretch out at a short price. I'm going to take the 6 Horologist in this race. This is a filly who improved immediately when they decided to stretch her out in distance last year. As a 3-year-old, she won 4 races in a row as soon as they got out of sprint races with her, including this race here in the Grade 3 Monmouth Oaks at Monmouth Park. She's going to come up the inside in this race and outfinish Jaywalk at the end of the day here with a 94 buyer speed figure. This is a very good performance. She came out of this race to, I think, finish a pretty good 3rd in the Grade 1 Cotillion. And then in her first start for Richard Baltus, they tried to sprint her again. I don't really think she wants to go short distances. I think she wants to go longer distances. And I like that Baltus gets her back to Southern California here and stretches her back out.
Now, she's an excellent fit in this spot, and she's a hard trier to be sure. I wonder if I'm getting suckered into the 3. Queen Bee to You, seeking her 3rd consecutive victory. She won last time out at Los Alamitos, arguably her favorite track. She won the Grade 3 Bayacoa. She was wide, and that's where you want to be most of the time at Los Alamitos. She swept by this field to win in very comfortable fashion with an 86 buyer speed figure. She has shown the ability to stay closer to the pace in the past. I like the fact that she has tactical speed, that she is adaptable, that she is comfortable at this distance. She is going to have to take another step forward if she's going to beat the likes of Spice Perfection and Horologist, but I think Queen Bee to You at 3-1 or 7-2, in the form she's in right now, at least deserves an opportunity to take them down in the La Cañada Stakes. Nicole Russo always has great pedigree insights. Let's go to her pedigree pick segment right now.
Hi everyone, Nicole Russo coming to you for Out of the Gate. Saturday's Gulfstream Park card features 4 strong maiden special weights for 3-year-olds. I zeroed in on this 3rd race. We're going a mile, which is a tall order for a first-time starter, but there are a couple in here with stamina-laden pedigrees to make it work, starting with Eminent Domain. He shows a solid series of 4 and 5 furlong works for Bill Ma and probably has some stamina foundation in him for his debut. Of course, he caught my eye as he's by Triple Crown winner American Pharoah, last year's leading freshman sire. He had a good deal of stakes success on turf, but certainly has the ability to sire a dirt runner, the surface on which he did all of his best work. I think especially those progeny will be good around 2 turns as he starts to get more opportunities in that arena. Now, Eminent Domain, who you'll watch breezing at the OBS April sale where he fetched $500,000, is out of a dirt router in Dundalk Dust, who won the Grade 2 Falls City. Her first 2 runners are both route winners, with Kangaroo Valley winning at 1.5 miles and a winner at 1 3/8 miles. Now, another first-time starter who caught my eye in this race is Awesome Party by Curlin out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare. 2 classic sires up front that is definite dirt route ability. However, both have also sired graded performers routed on turf and a lot of turf route ability in the female family. And this is the extended family of ARC winner and brilliant broodmare Urban Sea, who produced Galileo, See the Stars, and more, as well as European Classic winner King's Best. I think Awesome Party definitely wants to go a route and could do so on either dirt or turf. So look for him to turn in a nice run potentially on Saturday, but also keep this horse's name in mind down the road, as I think he has some potential there. Meanwhile, we'll be looking ahead to stakes action on this Saturday Gulfstream card after this break on Out of the Gate.
Storm from Racing Blue, a breakthrough in sports nutrition for horses.
Welcome back to Out of the Gate. Let's throw up the field for the co-feature at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 $150,000 Marshua's River Stakes. 1 1/16 on the turf for fillies and mares. For expanded stakes previews of this and many of the other major stakes races all weekend long, plus lots more, head on over to video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Third choice on the morning line, Mike, is the number 7 Munchkin Money, a New York bred who showed a lot of heart and determination, winning first time for Christophe Clement. Last time out, really the only closer in a race that featured speed, and a good one in Mitchell Road.
Yeah, maybe she was compromised last time. Mitchell Road was 2-5 and wired that field. I did think Munchkin Money finished pretty gamely for third. We have the replay that we can throw up there. She's going to come to the outside here. She's going to make ground all the way. Now, there's never a real point in the stretch here, Dan, where it feels like she's going to win this race, but I'll give her a little extra credit for staying on gamely to the end.
Now, this was a nice performance for her. My main issue with her is this is kind of her best race. An 86 buyer, maybe she can get up to an 89. She's facing mares in this spot that can regularly top a 90, 91, so she's going to have to run a little bit faster, and she's going to need some pace help up front. Let's see who Craig Milkowski likes in the Marshua's River.
The Marshua's River, for me, pretty much comes down to a 2-horse race. It's a rematch from the Forever Together Stakes run at Aqueduct between Indina Del Sur and Sweet By and By. In that race, Sweet By and By was the favorite, but was run down and actually dropped back to finish third when Indina Del Sur got up for the win. I think this is a case where the tables are going to be turned in here. That wasn't a race we had pace figures for. It was run over that new Aqueduct outer turf course, and there just wasn't enough data to make pace figures. But the race flow kind of indicated that the race really set up for horses coming from off the pace. Sweet By and By that day, as you'll see in the replay, was pretty much wide the whole way around the track, made a premature move. My guess would be the pace was on the hot side, if anything. Just looking at where the horses finished that were up on the lead, she made that premature move, made the lead, couldn't hold off the closers, including Indina Del Sur and Theodora B, who's not in here, Theodora B. But I was really impressed with her race that day. I think her speed figures are solid in here. They match up with Indina Del Sur. It was just a matter of trip. So my pick in this race is going to be Sweet By and By. If I were going to play horizontals horizontal wagers, I would include Indina Del Sur because it wouldn't surprise me if she wins. But given the results last time, I think Sweet By and By is going to offer a little bit more value here.
Well, I'm going to agree with Craig on this one. I like Sweet By and By in this race. And more than anything else, it's just a situation where I just feel like she's a much better horse when they get her involved early. I would just love to see Luis Saez get very aggressive with this filly in this race and just put her right up there, either on the lead or right up there on the pace on the outside, and putting some pressure onto it. I don't want him rating this horse. They've rated her in her last two, and I just don't think those are her best races.
I too respect Sweet By and By speed, but I also think the number 2, Piece by Piece, is going to show a little early ability in this spot. Maybe Piece by Piece can keep Sweet By and By occupied enough to set things up for Andina Del Sur, who took care of Sweet By and By last time out. We saw that quick burst of speed on the turn for her to take the lead and hold sway in the Forever Together, and I think a similar trip is coming. I think she can sit 3rd or 4th and make a bold move turning into the stretch. Career form right now, Andina Del Sur for trainer Tommy Albertrani. She's my top pick in the Marshua's River. Let's stay at Gulfstream. Let's stay on the turf. Let's stay for the tropical turf. Let's throw up the field for Saturday's 10th race at Gulfstream Park. It's the Grade 3 $100,000 Tropical Turf Stakes. We're going a mile on the weeds. The horse to beat is your morning line favorite, Mike. That's the number 8, A Thread of Blue. This horse has already won a 7-figure race in his career, going gate to wire in the Saratoga Derby. Now, that's a key statement, gate to wire, because there's a lot of speed in this race, and A Thread of Blue is going to have to deal with those other speeds.
Yeah, I wonder if he can get the trip that he really wants in this race as he makes his 4-year-old debut here off a little bit of a layoff. I mean, he's obviously a talented horse. He's won some nice races. It's worth noting that he is a graded stakes winner at Gulfstream without the lead. He did win the Palm Beach last year from a stalking position, so maybe he can do it again, Dan. We'll see what happens. Just the kind of horse I feel like in this situation at a short price I might be willing to try to beat.
Craig Milkowski agrees with you. He feels there'll be a big pace up front, and he's going with a closer.
The Grade 3 Tropical Turf Stakes drew a solid field of 10, and the first thing that caught my eye was the Timeform US Pace Projector predicted it's going to be a fast pace. That's not something that always guides every wager I make, but it's certainly something I take a look at, see if I agree with. And the first thing that jumped out with me is that Guido is in here, the number 4 horse. And one thing I've learned over the years, or at least this past summer for sure, and watching Guido run for a while now, is when he's in a route race, it's almost a guarantee that the pace is going to be fast. We can take a quick look at his past performances. He generally makes the lead in those races. He didn't the one time 2 races back, but I think it was Voodoo Song and another horse were in there. And Voodoo Song is basically the same thing as Guido when it comes to pace. Him being entered almost ensures a fast pace, and when both of them are, it for sure will be. But in this case, there's plenty other speed in here to force Guido's hand. I'm not sure he could rate even if there wasn't. So I'm really solid thinking that, agreeing with the pace projector that there will be a fast pace. And looking at that, the horse I gravitated towards was Exalting. He's being ridden by top-rated rider Rod Ortiz. He should fit this horse like a glove in this situation. And what really caught my eye with this horse, a couple things. First, the speed figures are really solid for this field. I wouldn't say they're particularly grade 3 level, but I don't think this is the strongest grade 3 field you're going to see. If you take a look at the Timeform US class ratings on the left side, which I've circled, they're all in the 120s, and this race actually gets a pre-race race rating from us of only 117. So even though it looks like a step up in class from 2 of his 3 races, he did run in a grade 2 last time, it's actually a pretty big drop in class. So I'm willing to forgive that race last time out. I thought he ran pretty well. He closed nice. He just was in against some better horses and still regard an admission office who were able to finish in front of him. But he was only 2 lengths behind. I think the pace setup's really going to suit him, as I said, and the class drop. And I think he is definitely the horse to beat in the tropical turf.
I'm going to try the number 2 Murad in this race from maybe just off the pace. I like that this horse is a little bit of adaptable as far as his tactical abilities go. Let's put up a replay of his most recent race. We're going back to September 1st here, so it's a little bit of a layoff for him. This is the Red Bank. They put him up close to the pace in here. You see him get to a short lead, but he never has enough to hold off the Visadero in this spot. He's going to settle for 3rd. All in all, I thought he ran fine, but he's going to have to do a little better than that. I just like the fact that there's a lot of pace in this race, and he's a horse who's shown that if they go fast in front of him, he will sit and make a run from off the pace. And I'm just hoping that Paco Lopez can work out that kind of a trip for him in this spot.
I'm going to go with Craig in here. I like Exalting. He's winless on turf, but he's proven his mettle at the mile, winning the $250,000 Oaklawn Mile first start off the Michael Maker claim. And in that last race, the Fort Lauderdale, against arguably better horses, he was sort of covered up most of the trip, never really got a clear chance in the lane, and he was finishing on at the end with a fast pace, cutting back to this mile distance. I think it all is going to set up very nicely for Exalting. 6-1 on the morning line. I think he gets bet down, but I think he's fair at around 4-1 or 9-2. David Aragona of Timeform US for his Spotlight segment this week is going to focus in on the Safe Florida Sandy Stakes, the feature race at Aqueduct.
For this week's Timeform US Spotlight, I'm going to take a look at the 8th race on Saturday at Aqueduct. It's the Safe Florida Sandy Stakes. It's 7 furlongs on the dirt for the New York breds, and pretty competitive field drawn here. 7 runners. Think you can make a solid case for about 5 of them. Let's begin by taking a look at the past performances of the morning line favorite. That's the number 3, My Boy Tate. He's coming off a win in a New York Stallion Series race last time in November. He got a sloppy track run over that day, and he's a horse that definitely likes a wet track. He's 4 for 4 over wet surfaces. He's fine over dry dirt too, and he's likely to get a dry surface on Saturday at Aqueduct. He obviously loves the 7 furlong distance, and I think he makes a lot of sense if he takes any kind of step forward off his last race. It's just he doesn't have the kind of speed figures that suggest he has any major edge over this field, and he's going to take money off that last race, and I think we can find some better value in here. Another horse that's likely to attract plenty of support is the number 7, the Caretaker. Now, he's a horse that only earned a 114 Timeform US speed figure for his victory last time at Aqueduct, going the 7 furlong distance, but it's worth noting he got a 122 final time figure that day. That's the number that would equate to the Beyer speed figure, just based on the final time. His number was downgraded, though, for the Timeform US speed figure of 114 because he was closing into a slow pace that day, and anytime you see a slow pace in a sprint race, it's a little easier to achieve a faster final time because horses conserve energy in the early going, and the Caretaker was penalized for that, though it's worth noting that he did pass horses that were more benefited by that slow pace because they were up on it, whereas he came from about a couple lengths off the pace. He ran really well last time, regardless of any discussion about the speed figures, and I think if he continues on this trajectory, he's going to be tough here for Rudy Rodriguez. Just there's not a ton of pace in this race, and I wonder if he's going to get that same kind of trip against a tougher field. The number 5, T Loves a Fight, is another one that I would consider. He'll be a slightly better price in here, and I liked his effort a lot last time in the Gravesend, going the 6 furlong distance. He finished behind Firenze Fire, who's a grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old, but he's been competitive in grade 2 and grade 1 stakes since then. And he ran really well, He Loves a Fight. He's the kind of horse that is pretty scrappy, but he always steps up to the occasion. And last time out, I thought he actually could have gotten closer at the end if Dylan Davis had ever been able to get him off the rail coming to the 8th pole. He finally got him off about the 16th pole, and he was making up ground on the leaders late. He handles the 7 furlong distance, and he's got this versatile running style where he doesn't have to come from that far back. And if they're not moving too quickly up front, perhaps he can get a good tactical position. Speaking of the pace situation, let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. And you see the number 6, Arthur's Hope, is predicted to be on the lead in a situation favoring horses in that position. And I think that's important to note because when you go through this race, there's just really not a whole lot of speed signed on. And Arthur's Hope, if you look at his PPs, is a horse that does run his best races when he's forwardly placed. If he's on the lead or just stalking the pace off one other runner, that's okay for him. But when he has to come from a little farther off the pace or take some dirt in his face, that's when he doesn't run so well. So the fact that he's going to be on the lead in this race, I think bodes really well for his chances. I know that his recent performances don't look that inspiring. He's coming off a string of 3 straight 4th place finishes, 2 since the layoff. But his race last time, not that bad because Chateau just ran off on the lead that day. He was in that chasing position that I said he doesn't really like. And then 2 back, he was in that race behind My Boy Tate and T Loves a Fight. That's a race where My Boy Tate and T Loves a Fight both benefited from a pace that just fell apart, and Arthur's Hope was contesting that pace, so I think he was a little compromised by his trip that day. This time over a dry surface, which he's fine over, if he gets the lead, I just think he's going to be really tough to run down, and he's got back speed figures of 120 and 125 that arguably make him the fastest horse in this race if he can repeat them. So I like Arthur's Hope in this Safe Florida Sandy, hoping to get somewhere in the 5 or 6 to 1 range, and I think we might just do that.
Time for our best bet segment here on Out of the Gate. Krug Milkowski's got something for you at Aqueduct, a curious pace play, if you will.
For my best bet this week, I'm going to head to Aqueduct in Saturday's 8th race, the Safe Florida Sandy Stakes. And the horse I wound up going with was Arthur's Hope. He's been tabbed by my podcast partner, David Aragona, at 5-1 on the morning line. And I think he offers some real value for a couple of reasons. First off, our Timeform US Pace Projector, I left a small insert on the graphic here, shows him on what should be a pretty clear, easy lead against this group. He's a horse who has run very well in the past when he gets a similar situation, but he doesn't necessarily have to have the lead. He's run good races when he sits just off of the lead. So I don't think he has to have the lead. If he gets it, great. But either way, I think he's in a good spot because a lot of horses in here don't have a lot of tactical speed like he does. I also think he has some pretty decent hidden form in here. His last 2 races since the layoff have been the first one came over a sloppy track. He dueled through a pretty fast pacing, so he had an opening pace figure of 135 that day with pressure. So he did lose to a couple. My boy Tate, T loves a fight, were in there, wound up finishing ahead of him. But I don't think the race dynamics were really with him that day. And then last time it was even more severe. When you'd expect a little better race second off the layoff, he ran into Chateau, who just ran off on the front end, set some crazy fractions. You can see the pace figures are all highlighted in red in Timeform US. And not only that, it was a track where speed did not do particularly well. That's what the 117 race rating highlighted in blue indicates. That closers had a field day at Aqueduct on that day. So I think Arthur's Hope is going to have quite a different trip in here than his experiences last time, and hopefully he can turn the tables on some of the others in the field that have beaten him the last time, a couple races back.
Going down to Gulfstream for my best bet, race number 7. It's an entry-level allowance race, around 2 turns for 3-year-olds. Moon Over Miami is my best bet, number 8 in this race. We made this horse a horse watch out of the gate a couple of weeks ago for this maiden win at Aqueduct. In his second career start, they stretched him out here off of a sprint debut that was better than it looks. And this horse just took a big step forward on the stretch out. He's got a ton of pedigree to handle the added distance here. Maybe post 8 is an added level of difficulty for him, but he's supposed to fall into a pretty nice trip in this race. They've made him a very generous 3-1 on the morning line. I think he's going to be something much shorter than that in race number 7 on Saturday, but I like the way this horse is headed. I think he has a chance to be one of the better 3-year-olds coming up.
My best bet on Saturday, Laurel, race number 2. That's the number 6, Sir Brahms, who made the first start off the claim last time out, and I think was just ridden way too aggressively by a 7-pound bug rider. We turn into the stretch, and Sir Brahms has emerged from the pace scrum with the lead. You see those fractions are pretty hot at Laurel, and Sir Brahms is going to pay the price for his early efforts here. I think the key on Saturday in race number 2 is that it's going to be a 180-degree different pace scenario. There is no speed signed on. Timeform US has it a gray bar scenario, and Sir Brahms breaking from the outside has options. He can go to the lead or sit just off the expected moderate pace. This barn's been going great guns at Laurel lately, and Sir Brahms is a pretty nice price on the morning line. He'll be my best bet on Saturday, race 2, number 6 at Laurel. We thank you for watching Out of the Gate, and we urge you to follow all of DRF TV's latest offerings. Please follow on social media on Twitter at DRF Video, and for the latest news and notes from America's Turf Authority Daily Racing Forum, please follow on Twitter at DRF Inside Post. That's it for this week. Best of luck when your horses break out of the gate.